Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Looks like we have just a little over 100 folks joined us, and I'm sure we'll have a little bit, a few more jump on. My name is Kathy Leggett. I'm the Future Ready Iowa Policy Advisor at Iowa Workforce Development. And we wanted to put up this webinar related to the Child Care Business Incentive Grant to really just be able to give Dawn with the Iowa Women's Foundation a chance to have a little more time to share some examples of different things that are happening across the state, different models she may be aware of, and just to help all of you who are working on potential applications. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm checking the chat because I want to make sure people are able to hear us, are good to go with us. So anyway, so we're gonna just again to give you some examples. Maybe you're trying to figure out quite how this might work in your area, and maybe to hear some examples would be helpful. So that's really the goal of today. And as you have been, just please continue to send questions at the end of the slides. We'll have the Future Ready Iowa email and other contact information, and we'll be getting back to you as soon as we can. Let's do quick introductions of folks you may hear from today. So I've introduced myself. I'm kind of the point person on the infrastructure grant. Karen, can you introduce yourself?
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm Karen
That's
Evans,
okay.
and I help Kathy Leggett with the Future Ready Iowa programs. I do want to note we need to get Ryan Page. She is on, but they need to put her as a panelist.
Awesome, thanks. Dawn?
Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn Oliver Wyan, the president and CEO at the Iowa Women's Foundation.
And then Brooke? Is Brooke on? No, okay. And Ryan? She's saying
Hi.
There we go.
Ryan Page, Department of Human Services. I'm sorry, they had to promote me to panelist, and then it was taking a minute to get me back into the room.
Go back.
So,
Yeah.
Yep. So Child Care Bureau at DHS, and a collaborator on the project.
Great.
So,
okay. Go ahead.
Kathy, Brooke is here. I think she just needs to be let in.
Okay. So if communications can help Brooke become a panelist, that would be great. Okay.
Yes, give me one moment.
You bet. And so those are our introductions. So again, just back to the slide, we just want to do examples and ideas, and then a couple of basic points related to the grant that I'm going to share and others can jump in on. Just maybe some of the things we want to reiterate to everyone who's been working on these, and some of the really important points that we want to make sure we get across. So let's do that. Maybe. There we go. Okay, I did want to review application timelines for folks. The materials and guidance, everything is available now. So please check out the website. We have a link later in the slides, and then these slides and a recording will be posted on the Child Care Grant website as well, which you can get to by going to futurereadyiowa.gov and then click on Child Care Grants, and everything is posted there. Also, just a reminder that the application opens in Iowagrants.gov on June 17th. So we're not too far from that now, June 17th. And then the application period will close on July 18th at 11:59 a.m. Please know, so right before noon, that will close. I know also on the Future Ready Iowa webpage, we have another webinar coming up, and I think it's the 22nd, but I would have you check. And this one is on Iowa grants. So we have some great presenters who will be able to take folks through Iowagrants.gov even if you just need a reminder, or if the Iowa Grants application isn't something that you've done before, then this will be a great webinar. It will also be recorded, so you can refer back to it. It just has kind of some of its own nuances. And so that's where I think that will be really helpful to folks. Brooke, I'm going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll get started on some additional information.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Axiotis, and I'm an attorney here at Iowa Workforce Development, and I work closely with Kathy and Karen. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much. So Brooke's with us too, just in case we get any particular questions, or things that maybe she wants to address for us as well. So let's move on. I just wanted to again review. We have 2 different grants with 1 application. These are the priorities for the grant: building an on-site or somewhere site child care center, or with company partnerships, and either the company, the employer, or the existing child care centers in partnership with employers to expand facilities. Some of the priorities we'll look at is the child care desert link. The child care desert is in a child care desert, and there's a link there. Karen, do you want to add anything about the child care desert, or are we?
So the previous document that we had linked to the Q&A was kind of the map that had a lot of pins that kind of showed the desert map. If you go to the bottom of that map, there's actually this link that I've added here, and it takes you to a spreadsheet that lists every town in the state of Iowa and tells you yes or no, is it a desert map? So that will be super beneficial to anybody. Crystal clear, no question of whether or not you're in a map. So you'll want to use that.
Yep, great. Thank you so much. And then areas that are already working with the Iowa Women's Foundation and the partnership with IEDA, and then obviously projects that demonstrate a well-developed plan for recruitment and retention. We know that there are a lot of factors in being able to do these projects successfully. Sorry, I'm trying to get back over to my screen here. Okay. There we go. And then projects that will subsidize the cost of childcare for employees in partnership with licensed or registered providers. So that's kind of where we have the infrastructure, and we have the increased childcare slots opportunities. Now you can go back to the other webinar for all the specifics and the NOFO, but I'm just wanted to kind of set the stage here again. It's these 2 opportunities that we're talking about. To review eligible applicants, applicants can include businesses and consortiums of employers in good standing with the state of Iowa. I want to highlight and prioritize all applicants must be employers not in the primary business of providing childcare services. So I really don't want anything to happen where we have all of this work put in and an application comes in on behalf of a childcare provider. Great project, but not from an employer. That's a way the NOFO is set up and the funding thing. So we have to have the applicants be employers or consortiums not in the primary business of providing childcare. We are certainly wanting partnerships there, but just please take note of that. And then this I wanted to share because we did have some questions about this, and we were able to get an answer as far as, because the requirement for an employer in the notice of funding was that they have 75 full-time employees. That's the definition. So we do have information back that individual employers building a consortium are not required to have 75 employees each. However, a minimum of 75 employees among the employers building the consortium is required. So one entity must apply on behalf of all of the employers that are joining the consortium, and that entity will be responsible for a consolidated reporting for all of that. Documentation of all employer partnerships will be required. And then they also need to provide a sustainability plan, which is part of the application process. So I think this is great news. And so bringing together employers who maybe don't have 75 themselves, but can work together with others in the area to build a consortium and to address childcare definitely is eligible for an application. So Wanted to make sure we shared that. Where do you apply once it opens? Iowagrants.gov. And again, the due date for that is going to be July 18th. So now on to the main reason that we're here. And so I'm going to invite Dawn to, unmute, and Dawn's going to take us through. I'll switch the things, but we've got examples of partnerships where employers are supporting childcare centers to help create slots. And so Dawn, and before I say this, I want to, number one, thank Dawn and all the other partners she works with, because they really have so much valuable information, including childcare resource and referral and the ECI programs. And the other thing I want to do is this, these are offered as just to help you be thinking about how things are done. This isn't offered to say, do a program like this and you'll be funded, or this is the only way to do a program, or every bit of this meets every bit of the grant. That's not the intent of this. The intent of this is to be able to share ideas that you may be like, oh, that's something that could help our model, or, oh, we didn't think about that, those type of things. That's the intent of this. So, so Dawn, go ahead and take it away. And I'm going to go to the first one here.
So Kathy, thank you for that clarification, because I do also want to say that please understand that this isn't the be all do all. This is really a new program. This is a new opportunity for businesses to make an investment in childcare. And that investment could look a number of different ways. And we know that people are starting to think about that. And so we just wanted to give you some ideas that can get you thinking, but realize that this doesn't have to be the way it is. And there are a lot of resources out there to help you. Not only the Iowa Women's Foundation, but also, as Kathy said, CCR&R is out there, ECI, the Local Economic Development Group, DHS. This really is a partnership. And so I wanted to share all of that with you before we kind of talked about some of the different examples that are going on and where they're happening. Again, these are going to be examples that you've probably seen and heard before. But quite honestly, again, because it's so new, we don't have a whole lot of different examples to share with you. So we're just going to hopefully get you thinking, and we can take it from there. So here, first of all, let's look at what's going on down in Ottumwa with JBS and the local Y. So JBS has decided to partner with the local Y down there to be able to provide childcare to their employees. The JBS will be paying $600,000 to fund the expansion of the Y program. In a result of that, they will get 40 guaranteed slots. They will not be discounted slots, but they will be slots for 0 to 5 for just the JBS employees. Now, the thing about this is that when those slots are not in use by an employee, JBS will continue to pay for that slot, because they want to make sure that when there is an employee needing childcare, that a slot is available for them. This is a little different. In a number of communities, their businesses are paying to initially get everything up and running, and they'll get a slot at the very beginning, but then that may change. So this is where this one is a little bit unique. And you can also see that they have agreed to this for 4 years, and then in 4 years they'll come together and they will review the partnership and decide how they want to move forward or how they can do it. So they've committed for 4 years, which is their ongoing sustainability plan, and then they'll reevaluate after that. Okay, Kathy. Now let's look at Blackhawk County. So Cedar Valley Kids is a nonprofit that was formed by a number of different business leaders in the community from different local businesses. And that's really your consortium that we talked about earlier. So here you've got an example of a consortium coming together and creating a nonprofit called Cedar Valley Kids. They are now in the construction phase of this. So what they've done is they're going to businesses and asking them to make an investment in the construction of the new child care center. And as a result of that, they will receive naming rights and a particular number of slots. Again, that will depend on the investment that's being made. If you invest You know, $250,000, you'll get a certain number of slots. If you invest $500,000, you get even more slots. And if you invest $1 million, you can name it and get even more slots. They will then also asking these businesses to make an ongoing gift to operations. So based on that investment, they'll get a priority on the waiting list. So this is how they're looking at their sustainability. Remember, each of the grant requests not only has to provide how you're going to make available the additional spots, but then how are you going to make sure that ongoing that it's sustainable? We don't want to get all of these buildings and these slots created and then not be able to sustain them. We're looking at how we can make this happen long term, not just in the short term. So here again, thank you, Kathy. Here again, they're looking at the initial building and expansion, and then ongoing operations being supported. And based on the investment, they get different benefits. Okay.
Yep. Before I move on, I did want to, that it was making me just another point I had wanted to share and emphasize for those who are working on applications is that this grant also, in addition to needing to be an employer not in the business of childcare doing the application or on behalf of a consortium, it also needs to be related to how is this increasing slots available for the employer's employees. So it's not just a general slot increase, it is specific to, now there could be, general could be part of it, because it could be, you know, employees, and then if not, just like the one we heard, community. But remember that this has to have specifics related to the employer's employees. So I just wanted to add that in. And then Dawn, one other question I thought of before we go on that I wondered if you could address, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know I've had a few childcare providers who are really interested in this, but they haven't previously had relationships or partnerships with employers in their area, not like we're looking for. And their question has been, how do we even approach this? How do we go to an employer? So do you have any 1, 2, 3 first step or anything that you can offer to individuals who are in that situation right now?
Yeah, so first of all, Kathy, I want to thank you for the clarification. And I would like to ask all of my other colleagues that are on this call as panelists that if you would like to add any additional information, please do not hesitate to step in because you are just as big experts in this area as I am. So I appreciate all of your help as we move this project forward. Yes, we are getting calls from providers as well that want to do it. As a matter of fact, I had one yesterday. I was just so impressed with this provider. I have to tell you, and I'm going to take just a minute. She is really looking at a way where she can expand her business in non-traditional ways. She's looking at partnering with a business to provide second and third shift care. She's had a couple of parents come to her with children with disabilities, and she's had some issues there. So she wants to figure out how can she help businesses whose employees' children have disabilities. And then she's also taking Spanish lessons so she can start to look at ways to provide care for Spanish speaking children. She had people come to her and she just didn't feel comfortable providing care if she couldn't speak and communicate with them. So to me, this is unique and fun. So we said to her after we had the conversation, you need to find businesses. And so what we've done is we've reached out to our contacts in those communities to see if anybody is aware of a business that's looking to do this. And if there is, then we will work with them and connect them. I would highly encourage a provider not to directly reach out to a business until they have a plan. Businesses aren't going to just jump right in. They want to know, you know, what's happening, what's the need, how are they going to benefit from this, and what would it take for them to make an investment. So I would not just start reaching out until you know what you're asking for. But then once we know whether or not there's a business in the area that does or does not interested in this, then we'll know what our next steps are. We'll either be able to connect them directly, or we may want to host a small session for businesses in the community to say, here's this opportunity. Are you interested in partnering? And here would be the next steps. So we really are looking at ways to support the childcare providers by connecting them to businesses, but we don't just want to be out there everywhere. We're trying to be strategic and focused as we move forward with those connections.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll get us to the next slide here.
Okay, this is a different kind of unique one, and I know that Ryan is on the call, and DHS does have some thoughts about this, and so I am going to ask her to please share those because I think they're very justified, and I think they need to be considered as this is one of those options. So there is a business in this community that the owner of the business has taken an apartment building, and he will be renovating the apartment building and then leasing them out, or will have made available to in-home providers who want to provide childcare for his employees. So to me, I thought this was a really unique idea, but this is where it shows how important our partnerships are and how we need to work and communicate together. Because when talking about this with Ryan, she shared some other things with me. So again, we all need to work together. So Ryan, do you want to kind of address that right now?
Sure. Yep, absolutely. So this is one of those models that is unique and has the potential to work very well. However, when we are looking at who operates a child development home, our code says that the person has to own, rent, or lease a single family residence. So that does mean like an apartment, which is fine. What we start getting into is whether or not folks are going to commingle in spaces. So each individual location has a set person who is responsible for those children or persons. They go through the background checks to operate their own facility. So they have their own record check or files for the children that are enrolled. And so they are separate entities. When you put something together like this, you risk the fact of like, now everybody's kind of hanging out in this open commingled space that's available. Or it's very easy to say, hey, I'm going to be over in numbers. Can you watch this kid for a little while? And it really starts looking and operating more like a child care center with classrooms rather than individual child development homes. So that's where some of those kind of red flags and concerns come in for me, just from a regulatory standpoint, so that everybody is still meeting the intent of the law.
Thank you, Ryan. And that is quite honestly why the Women's Foundation is partnering with all of these other entities around the state, because we don't know everything. And we really look to our partners to help guide us. We want everyone to be successful, and we want everything to be sustainable, and we want to follow the regulations. So we're here to work together on it. Okay, thanks, Kathy. Next one. So now let's look at Creston. This is an interesting one. So Creston, their hospital they broke ground on a new center on November 3rd for the community. The land for the center was gifted by the Creston Community School District. So here now again, you're going to have a consortium of businesses. You've got the hospital, you've got the school district, and you've got other areas there. And the land, to honor the commitment, the center was named after the hospital, and they will be opening up in June of 23. So again, it's really nice to see that you've got land being donated, you've got another business willing to build it. And now the next thing is going to be, how are they all going to come together to make it be sustainable and move it forward? So again, just kind of showing you that there's different ways to make an investment in this. You don't have to just hand out cash. You can do other things as well. Kathy, thanks. Oh, did we miss one? Oh, there you go, Clarion. Okay, I thought this was an interesting one. What I like that's happening here in Clarion is, again, they're looking at different ways to make the investment and what those investments could be. So the hospital, in this particular place, they've partnered with the local community center or the local community child care center. And the hospital is actually the employer of the education director for the early learning center. So she is now employed through them and paid through them. So that's, of course, saves on expenses. The school then is also sponsoring the educational lead teacher for the 4 and 5-year-olds. So now you've got somebody who's paying for this teacher. And then 2 other businesses in town have pledged 3 to 5 year contributions of $10,000 to help cover operating costs. So again, they've picked particular things in an operational budget that they want to pay for that will then help with the expenses, because remember, it's all about increasing revenue and decreasing expenses so we can be sustainable and long going. And we're looking at ways that these partnerships can take place with our local businesses. Okay. Now, this one's a little bit different, and I was going to pull this slide, and then I decided that I really like the partnership, but I want to stress that this is really more for what does that long-term support for annual operations look like? How can we be sustainable? So this is really more of an opportunity to look at that. So in Hamilton County, they knew that they really needed to pay their providers more. And so they went to all of the businesses in the area and asked them to make a 3 to a 5 year commitment of funds. These funds were then pooled together and housed with the Hamilton County Foundation. And now the centers can apply for funding to increase what they can pay their employees. Again, keep in mind, this is really more on that long term. This isn't going to help us get more slots. What this is going to help us do is make sure we're sustainable moving forward. And it's a way to do it. And I was thinking about this as I thought about the other day. So we've done this with salaries. I'm thinking we could also do this with benefits. If we could get businesses to put together some funds into a fund, that maybe then that fund would be designated to pay for the benefits of providers in particular centers. That would help then. So it wouldn't only be wages, it could also be benefits. We could figure out a way to make that work. But again, long-term, not just the beginning. Okay. And then I think this might be our last one. So this is another hospital where we are seeing, quite honestly, that hospitals across the state are really wanting to get involved with this because they're really starting to see that this is a recruitment and retention issue and could be a benefit to help them with their staff. So this hospital is interested in offering a stipend to help pay for their childcare. They don't have a center on site. So they're looking to collaborate with a local center. And what they would do is they would then help pay for the childcare slots for their employees. And what they are currently looking at doing too is saying, okay, we also need availability on second and third shifts. If you are willing to provide and expand your hours, we would also consider paying for the additional staff to provide that care. So again, they're looking at ways to just kind of step out of the box and figure out ways that they can maybe get care for their staff in those non-traditional hours and ways. And then I guess I was wrong. I do have another one. Okay, and then this is another good example of a business that wants to have a child care center, but they're not in the business of running a child care center. We hear that a lot. We make plastic containers. We don't run child care centers. So at Hawkeye Community College, they built their adult learning center, or their a child care center in their adult learning center. They paid the cost for all of the building. They furnished the building, and then they are now partnering with exceptional persons who are actually running the child care center for them. Moving forward though, and looking at the sustainability, Hawkeye Community College still provides the building, they provide the utilities, they provide the maintenance, and the security, they do snow removal, they do lawn maintenance, they do all of that. And EPI manages centers and pays the child care staff and their program. There's 56 slots, and those slots are given priority. Priority is given to EPI and Hawkeye students and staff first. And then if there's anything open, they go to the community. So here's a partnership that came together. One kind of pretty much funds it, one runs it. Both of their employees are getting benefits for it. And then if there's anything left, it's going into the community. So that's a really good example too. Again, please keep in mind that these are just examples, that they don't have to be done this way, but we hope it's a way to get you thinking, a way to get you started going forward. And if you have any questions or want any other feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. Yeah, Ryan, go.
Perfect. So I wanted to give a little bit more context to the slots idea. This is, I think it's important to say, this is about innovation, right? So these are things that are not well established across the nation or in Iowa. So these are new ideas. That's what we're looking for, innovation. For the slots, the intent of this is that a business partners with a local childcare facility and purchases or reserves or pays some level of funding to reserve slots for their employees, with the intent of, I have employees that I can't get people to work, or I can't hire people because they can't secure childcare, but now I have this partnership over here and I can help them secure childcare. That might be a full slot, that might be a partial payment for the slot. It might be a whole payment for the slot. Those are decisions that you get to make as a business. A lot of the question is, the childcare facilities, they have trouble with staff. So just because I can get a slot, what am I doing if they don't have the staff people? That is another conversation where maybe the business is choosing to put more funding to invest in increased wages, or maybe the business is coming in and setting up some type of benefits program, because we also need to be thinking about recruitment, retention, and sustainability of the project once this funding is gone. Our funding for slots is September 2024. Then we don't have that funding anymore to continue to support the project. So this is really about getting these types of ideas off the ground. Staffing is a nationwide issue in every single sector. And we know that childcare providers are significantly underpaid. So as a business, when you're talking with a childcare facility, then be saying, what do you need? What is it that you need to get these staff in the door? Once you have an arrangement with a program, you're getting funding to help pay for those slots, but that becomes revenue for the childcare facility. How they use their revenue is up to their own business model. So while we're not saying, yes, just give them a stipend so they can hire staff so that there's an increased availability, we're not doing that. We are saying, help lift them up essentially through revenue in a way that they can utilize that for their business model that makes the most sense. So I hope that kind of helps clarify things. Again, we are certainly not the experts in this project idea either. We are just trying to use some of the ideas that have happened out there and try to build some unique opportunities here.
Great. That makes really good sense, Ryan. Thank you for sharing that. Other panelists, I just want to say other comments right now. Otherwise, I'm kind of going through the chat to see if we have some things that we can potentially answer. Okay, I see a question here. Can the, building grant, so I think that's the infrastructure grant, be used to build a new, larger childcare center if it is not connected to a business? It would be expanding the current daycare, but not the current building. Yeah, I think the concept is yes, but and yeah, anybody, I'm going to take a shot at this and then anybody else add in. The concept, I would say the answer is yes, again, in partnership with employers. The project has to be submitted by employers to specifically increase slots for employers' employees. So, so it would have to be specific to that and not general to the to the community. So I think that's how I would answer that. Do you guys have any comments?
You are exactly right, Kathy, and I actually helped answer that one like 2 steps down.
Oh, sorry, good. Oh,
no,
good.
I was trying to stay in the chat and answer questions as we went along, but there's certainly some that we haven't answered.
Okay, then take me down. Can you take me down to, or Ryan, can you get us to where we, yeah, and I'm glad that's good that we're all on the same page, because everything Ryan said is true. This is new, innovative. There aren't rules. I mean, there are rules, but there aren't concepts, particular. So we're all learning as we go.
So in the Q&A, we have a question that we also received via email. Do ongoing costs for maintenance and or operations fall to the business or to the child care center? I discussed this with legal, and we had discussed that there needs to be an agreement in place similar to the MOU agreement that you will have with Future Ready Iowa or DHS. So that is between the employer and the child care center to kind of iron out those terms.
Yes, absolutely.
Another question on the JBS. If they are paying for unused slots, does that include slots that are open because the childcare doesn't have enough staff to hit capacity?
So I'm not sure I 100%, and Dawn, you can speak to JBS specifically.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'd have to go, again, it's almost about semantics. You've got slots or you've got spaces, they're not filled because you don't have the staff, but you could also just say they're not filled because JBS doesn't have employees right now that need them. I would guess that if you've got a contract and JBS is going to pay for so many slots, they're going to pay for them regardless.
Yeah, and that's the intent, is that you're holding a slot until you need it. So yeah. One of the other questions, it's further down. So I'm kind of jumping ahead here. It's around the employees and who needs childcare. So that is what is super important for the business, is to do your own kind of mini needs assessment, a little survey, something with your staff that says who even needs childcare, right? So
right?
Some folks maybe already have secured childcare and they are not going to even want to utilize this. There might be folks that need infant slots or preschool slots. And you can see my son kind of walking around in the background here. So you're going to need to understand what your employees really need, because that's going to make sense. Maybe you have 10 employees, maybe you have 50. You don't have to have everybody that needs the service, but you're going to want to show that you have a need that we are working to meet.
And Ryan, thank you. And sample surveys are out on the IWF website for you. So you don't have to create a survey. We've got the questions out there for you. You are more than welcome to use it as a template. Definitely read it. Make sure you're getting all your questions, but don't start over from scratch.
Okay. Going through, sorry, just taking.
So another Q&A, if a city were to partner or or contributor toward the project, I'm assuming contribute toward the project, do the funds need to be in the bank, or would a letter of commitment from the city be adequate?
Is that a Kathy or a Brooke?
Brooke? I think, I
Sorry.
guess, yeah,
I can
that's okay.
unmute.
Brooke, one
I
thing,
have
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, one thing I was going to say in regard to that is I think the other option is a letter from a certified, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but CPA stating that the funds are available. So that might be an option for that, but Brooke, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, and I was just going to pull up the notice of funding opportunities. So it'll state in there. But yeah, I believe you're right. So it has to be a statement from the bank or from like a CPA, basically saying that you have the funds available and how much is available for you to draw down. I'll look in the notebook and see if I can find the exact, but yeah.
Okay. I do
I'll
want to
put it in the
address,
chat
I'm
once.
looking to see if anybody. Oh, okay, perfect. Or jump back on too, okay? And just let us know for sure. The question about the example of if it says a maximum of 250,000, I saw that in there for the slots program. So does that mean that if we have an employer who's going to, or a consortium that's going to put up 250,000 for this project, then that applicant can request 250,000 from the state. So the total is 500,000. That is correct, right? I mean, that's how I read it. So I'm looking to Ryan, Brooke, others. And if it's when it says in infrastructure, the maximum is 3 million, that means if the consortium or employers put up $3 million, they can request 3 million from the state for a total of 6 million. That's, there have been some different questions about that. So the maximum is how much can be asked, but it has to be matched, okay? So maybe you don't have that much, so maybe you're asking for 1.5 million or 1.75, and then you're gonna ask the state to match that. But the maximum amount is what's listed in the NOFO for each of those that can be requested. So it's not, I've had some questions of people like, is the maximum 3 million? So we're asking for 1.5 million and the state will do 1.5. No, the maximum you can request is 3 million. And then you would be putting that up and you would be asking the state to match the 3 million. Yep. Okay. Do you have anything else, Brooke?
Sorry. I was just typing answer to the last one. So I found the answer.
Thanks.
Can I go
Okay.
back to the last one? I'm sorry.
Sure,
So
do it.
yep. So it says acceptable proof must be a certified statement from an FDIC insured financial institution holding the funds. In the absence of a statement from a financial institution, an affidavit from a certified public accountant can be used to certify the existence of the required private investment.
Okay, that's what you need to do. Okay.
Kathy, I'd like to reference one that I've been remiss and haven't mentioned on this
Sure.
call. Adela
Yes.
mentions in Brooklyn, Iowa, having some home-based providers and that they need more
Mhm.
childcare. I do want to put a plug in for folks. This can include home-based providers, and you may have, depending on your business, you may have a unique population that needs a different type of childcare service. So you may have immigrants or refugees or non-English speakers that are working for your company that may need childcare from people who represent their community. These are where your home-based providers can come in. Maybe they can expand to second shift. Maybe they can do weekends. Maybe they're willing to do overnight care. So one of the things I'm going to put, I'll put the link in the box, but I can also share my screen, Kathy, for showing them how to find childcare here in Iowa, in your community, because I want to be sure that folks know, who is it that I'm supposed to be trying to contact and partner with. So first and foremost, you've got your CCR&R. That's our child care resource and referral partners in the 5 regions. They can help. They're going to know some of the providers that are interested in doing something like this. The other thing I want to show you is, okay, you can see that. Whoops, now I changed my screen, of course, but. All right, you can see that?
Yes.
Okay, so if I want to, I'm just gonna go ahead and do Brooklyn because that was one that we were talking about here. Now, keep in mind, the partnership does need to be with a licensed or registered program. So we know that there's some unregulated facilities out there operating specifically childcare homes. This is for partnership with our licensed and registered programs. But this is going to give you a map. You can go ahead and download this down to an Excel, and you're going to get contact information on exactly who you want, who's in your community to partner with. So I will put that link in the chat box, but know that there are resources out there available to you to know who is already existing and who may be willing to be a partner. Now, our child care homes, those are a little bit unique because they are at a maximum capacity. They can only care for so many. That being said, they may be willing to extend hours or perhaps get an assistant or something like that to better support the community. So that's another option.
Great. Okay, anything else anyone's seen right away here? And then Karen, I want to confirm we're able to have a copy of the questions and everything so we can go through and answer anything else and post it on the website that we need to.
It should. I have not been able to access it from communications, but we can take it from the Q&A and from the chat box here and put it together.
Okay,
if
great.
everyone would just give us some time to get answers to all those, we will get that
Yes.
posted on our website, but it may take a couple days.
Can partner the business applicant. Yes. Okay, so I think we're good. I hope this was helpful to everyone. I again appreciate all the work that's going on from our partners and from all of those who are out there trying to get together and partner and see what you can do to address this really important challenge. This is the really exciting part of it is amazing. I'm just amazing conversations, partnerships, and discussions are happening to try and address these issues. So again, thanks everyone. Look to those next deadlines. We've got up the link for questions, and we'll keep trying to do everything we can on our end to answer your questions and to provide the support you need to submit some great and successful applications. So anybody have anything else before we go?
Yeah, so we did have a Q&A, and they've also put it in the chat here. Would the purchase, renovation, and strategic reuse of a vacant building that has not previously been utilized for childcare function as an expansion or new build in terms of maximum award funding?
So this is where I would say that makes sense to be a new build if it is not an existing childcare facility. So if you partner with a childcare facility that now wants to expand, but they're already licensed, that's expansion. If you're creating a new childcare facility, that's going to be new.
Okay. Do you see anything else, Karen, before we go?
I don't.
Okay, good.
Oh, I do.
Excellent.
Can the grant help? Sorry, can the grant help
Nope.
expand an in-home daycare with a business partnership, like add a room and get a helper?
I say yes. I think
Yeah,
that,
so I think that
yeah.
becomes a conversation between the business and the home. You know, if
Mhm.
you're a category B, you have a maximum of 12 kids. So does that mean that with that expansion that they're going to help fund, you can serve your additional 4 if you get that helper? So that's just an example of numbers. But you're going to want to be very upfront with the business on what that expansion looks like, because the slots component is about partnering for reservation, or if you're looking for you know, them to fund some type of infrastructure, that's going to be a little bit different. And businesses, I do want to throw out there too, make sure that those who you partner with are folks that maybe understand the child care business and know what it takes to have a qualified director talking about sustainability, very new programs or programs that have been around for a while. Just something to be thinking about around longevity. You know, we don't want to get into a situation where somebody raises their hand and says, I'll open a childcare center, but they also don't really know what to do. And then that just becomes really complicated for the project. So just things to be thinking about when you're talking to each other, and what types of things you might want to put in your MOU with a partner.
So I did just add a link to the Future Ready Iowa website in the chat. That is where the slideshow will be. We will also put the Q&A on our website. So if you want any information about this webinar, that's where you can find it. We do have some more questions coming in. Could a martial arts facility be a partner in some way? Are there funds available?
If they are a licensed childcare facility or are willing to become a licensed childcare facility.
And then we've got, in regard to the expansion or new build question, if the new childcare center would be contracting existing providers, would that still function as new build? For example, franchising?
So I think where this is going is we need to be able to show a net increase in slots. So if you're taking 5 existing providers and pushing them into one, that is not doing anything when it comes to increasing available capacity. So we don't want to remove access to childcare from the community at large. We want to make sure that this is a true expansion. And we look at it by license number. So everybody has a registration or license number. If we're going to take a license number away to add a new one, that's not doing anything. This is about new facilities.
And I see, yep.
Is there a list of national companies that manage, run childcare centers, so a business or business group could reach out to discuss partnership with a national provider?
If there is, we are not familiar with it, unless Dawn, you have an idea.
Yeah, you know, I was just going to say, and I would say we've gotten into the position, quite honestly, where we've had some national companies come into some of our rural communities and want to open up a center. And then quite honestly, they've discovered that with the fees that they can charge, they're never going to make it. And so it doesn't follow through. I would try to find a center that's already locally or an in-home that's already there that you could partner with, rather than go out and look nationwide for somebody to come in. That's, at this point, I think would be the easiest.
Okay. Great. All right. Again, thanks to everyone. And we'll keep the communication lines open. And thanks to the Dawn and Ryan and Brooke and Karen. And we'll just keep conversing. So everybody have a great day. And I'm sure we'll we'll hope to see you on the Iowa Grants webinar. And if we have some other things come up, just keep checking the webpage because we'll try and get the word out. Okay, thanks. Bye, all.